think we are recording now. Okay, so I saw more people joining. So we have 10 people. Cool. On a Friday. I saw Eric here, Victor, and I think that's it. Cool. Small crowd today. So uh, if you're comfortable for asking questions, go ahead. I think only added. Yeah. Um, how's my screen looking at lowering my resolution on my monitor so it looks better? Um, News or intros. Anyone wants to do their intro or like pitch something? They have a product, Kubernetes team, or they want to say what they're working on. Or if you're new, that's your chance. Unmute yourself and say hi, or just say where you're from. If you're not, well, yeah, where you're from and what time is it?
I can go. Hey guys, I'm Zach. I'm in Austin, Texas. I've been studying for my CKA and just like threw up a little repository with a Argo CD manifest, and I'm trying to build like a home lab here on my new Mac computer that I got for work. So excited about that. And this is my first time for the book club, so I'm excited to be here.
Right, right. Nice to have you here. Yeah, CKA is a good certification. I suggested it to someone this week that they wanted to get started in Kubernetes. So studying for that is a very good way. Um, yeah, and home lab, where you're trying to set up in your Mac or your other computers.
So right now, I have a list of setting up like applications like Vault, Harbor, and then Prometheus and Grafana. I want to segment them into projects like security, monitoring, shared services, and stuff, just so I can get a better understanding how to build like a platform on Kubernetes.
Everybody wants to build a platform in Kubernetes. Yes, that's what I work on. Platform engineering. Very good. You're just doing it local in your Mac, running Kind or Docker or Kubernetes.
Yeah, I'm just running Kind right now.
Okay, okay, that's very good. Yeah, Kind, and we use Kind for the KubeBuilder, so that's very good.
Thanks.
Um, I'm building a home lab also, but I've been buying cheap nukes. At least this is a tip. I bought a nuke which are now discontinued. I think Intel um, sold that to Asus, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, they're very good, very quiet. And first one I bought, I think I paid $400, and then I want to buy another one. It's like that. I don't want to pay $400. So I went to eBay, and
Mm-hmm.
eBay their used ones that work very well. And I found them for $100, 120.
Nice.
And some of them I order like new fans because they're a little bit noisy. So they're like 1 year old or 2 year old. And new fans, SSDs are super cheap. Memory is super cheap. They're up to 30 gigs of memory, and I have five of them. So
That's
so
cool.
that's nukes are very good for home labs. And then I also bought the Turing Pi.
Uh-huh.
So a Turing Pi is a board that you can put four modules. It can be Raspberry Pi for modules, but you cannot find them anywhere. There's no Raspberry Pi modules, but they're selling their own ones that going to come out I think next month, called RK1, and they have more memory, and there are, I think they're ARM, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, they are ARM.
And then I'm going to buy a Jetson. So Jetson has a GPU, so Nvidia, so you can put also four Jetsons, and then that's a little bit more compact of a home lab.
Wow.
So just some ideas if you're thinking about like, because I usually don't use my Mac
Yeah.
because it's too many things running on my computer. But that's if you want some cheap physical things around the house, that could be an option.
Thank you.
So news. I recorded if you have friends that missed a meetup or something, recording that. this section, I cut it off, but the things that we talk technically, I record them and put them in the event page. So when I add the YouTube link, when I configure the event page, then it will show up here so people can find them. So they can go there, or they can find the playlist in YouTube, but that will be the place to go. That's for news. And then the next one is Zachary, you're from Austin. So in Texas, there's KCD Texas. So if you want to drive to, is it in Dallas? KCD?
Yep.
Yep. From Austin to Dallas is October 7. And we also, maybe I plugged mine that is coming
October
soon,
6th.
is Washington, DC. I'll be there. If you're going to be there, please let me know that you attend the book club. It's nice to hear that. And yeah, you can get a ticket. It's a one-day event, KCD Washington, DC. So I'll be giving a talk around Kubernetes, Argo, and then kind of like give like the angle of like running Argo in Golf Cloud or EKS or like air gap environment. Like what are the things that you need to take into account where you're deploying either Terraform or Argo CD. So add that. That's coming up September 12th. So I'll add that one, some events. And I think everybody knows the event will be in November. I plan to be there in Chicago for KubeCon. So I got the green light that I can go. I have booth duty. Anyone else going to KubeCon? I'm looking down because I'll have another mic.
I'll be there.
I think I'm there.
Cool. And there's also a bunch of I'm helping with some co-located events. I have working with the Argo Con, and also there's a new one that I'm doing this year. There's no Knative Con, but there's a App Developer Con, and that's between Knative folks and Dapper and some other folks. I try to bring in the people from Loft to work on that. So co-located events. We can mention also the rejects. Somebody has the link to rejects. They're taking CFPs. So if you want to talk at KubeCon, maybe you can talk on Saturday or both 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday rejects. You can spell rejects. KubeCon. If somebody can get the link and put it here, Nate, Chicago. I saw it in Twitter. The organizer posted, like whoever didn't get accepted to KubeCon, they can submit a CFP for rejects, and it's very good. I saw a couple of talks in Amsterdam. Yeah, that was the last one. Okay, so I think that's it for news. Anyone has more news? Just 128 still out. Hopefully at work we're trying to get it out in EKS soon, so we're trying to close the gap of how long it takes to get a GA. But if you use EKS, we're working on 128. So what's the comment
But
there?
that's quite good. Rancher, I believe they are still on 1.26 with their platform. I was to install the latest today, and
Who is
I installed
126?
RT2. Sorry.
Who's using one? Who's on 126?
Rancher.
Oh, okay.
SUSE.
Okay.
I installed the RK2, the downstream cluster, and they support like 1.27.4, and that's quite good. I feel that's quite fresh and so on. But then when you are about to deploy what they call the upstream cluster, where they have the GUI and so the rancher, then they don't support 1.27. They only support 1.26, so it feels quite boring.
Yep. Yeah. At least for AWS, we have I don't know if people, there's echo. I don't know if people know Deems. Deems is joined He used to work for VMware, but he works in Kubernetes upstream. So he's helping a lot to on ECAS to bring a lot of testing to upstream. So upstream can test, and other downstreams can also do it. Like it's not another resting. So downstream distribution like ECAS, they can add testing upstream. So before we cut the release, we are already testing like stuff in AWS, AMIs, and all those things to find any issues like that. So the gap is shorter on getting the latest version, updating supporting the latest version, and then there's no, and also reducing the amount of patches that we do to upstream that are like tweaks, Deems. That's something that I was looking at that the Deems was looking through all those, and this is all open source. It's in GitHub. Like all the ECAS stuff is in GitHub. To reduce the amount of patches that we do, and it's reduced that list very, very small. Like we almost not changing anything to upstream Kubernetes when we run it managed. Anyway, it's not a vendor talk. So we're doing the book club Kubernetes. Let me see, where is the website? Here it is. So just I think I got the video from now. So welcome to the book club. Today is September 1st, 2023, and we have a crowd here for the meetup, and we've been doing the KubeBuilder / like learning about controllers and Kubernetes and all these things. So it's not just the controller. At least for me, I've been useful because I've been learning like Kube API things, how this actually works, how they interacts, how controllers interact. And I think last time we were dealing with webhooks. In the book, we're doing a cron job controller. We did all the code. We implemented the KubeBuilder basically scaffolds the webhook code. We made the changes to the webhook all the way down here, and then we went into running and deploying the controller. And then we did basically kube manifest, make install to install the CRDs. And then when we do make run, we want to skip the webhooks because the webhook is the Kube API server cannot talk to our laptop or the workspace, the host that we have the code. So make run just runs the Go module. So you have to do false. And this is where we stop, where we found an issue. So I'll go back to, let me go to VS Code. So I think that's it for VS Code. So in VS Code, I have this here. Let's see, my VS Code is huge. Let me know if that's, at least that's better for me. Looks good on your side? So I was playing with this last time, and one thing that I wanted to show is if you're, so I'm using DevPod. So if you follow along and find the repo from the notes, you use DevPod, and it has everything that you need, even your kind cluster. So one thing that I did was, because I was messing around, if you get into trouble or you install something or you want to delete the cluster and get a new cluster, just for people that are not familiar, kind get clusters, it tells you that there's a kind get is a kind cluster, like everything's running there. You do get pods, a stuff is running there. Let me hide this. And basically what you can do is kind delete cluster. And since the default name is kind, you don't have a cluster anymore. Do not panic. You can create the cluster because we're using dev containers, like the thing that GitHub uses for their code spaces. It's the same thing for DevPod. So when you launch this either in Docker or a VM, at the end we do a kind create cluster. So you can do that again and then get a clean cluster. So if you get into trouble, then just do that, and then you get a clean cluster with nothing in it. So I did that because I was messing around with the controller to get Prometheus to get the metrics. I don't know if we're going to get that far. But it was a pain to configure it, and I think I installed it in the wrong one, and there's cluster rules, so just blow it out. So I get now it's ready. So think cluster. The other thing that I did was, let me check out main. I did a lot of changes, and then I'll do it live with you folks. I will do it together because I think, at least for me, is I prefer to get, like, learn from someone that is there's errors, and then you would try to fix, like, learn how to fix them, than like coming up with everything already working. But at least those are the typical sessions we do. So let me know if that's useful or not. So if we go back, if we do make manifest, and we run make manifest, it will run the make manifest. If we run make install, we do make install. This will install the CRDs, as you can see here. So now we have the CRD. So we do get CRDs. Now we have the cron job CRD. Our pod is not running, and I will never run because we're going to do a make run. So this is the error that we got last time, which I think I opened 2 GitHub issues in KubeBuilder for the book. This was the first one. So if you compile, it worked because I fixed it. Here's what's the problem. In the main.go, this is the part that doesn't say in the book. So this environment variable, if you look in the source code, where's the source code? It's in 2 places. I can search everywhere. And you look for this, enable this thing. Oh, it's not there. Wait a minute. I thought I fixed it. Main.go. So in main.go, the problem was that the documentation didn't have this section, this thing. So if it's not equal to false, then setup manager with webhooks. So it didn't have this. So it was like, this is the error we got last time. Let me do it like this. It told us to put this in here, but it didn't tell us to, like, skip it if you're doing make run. So if I run it now, oh, my bad. Let's see if that's the error that we got last time. Yep. So this is the error that we got last time. Way I found how to fix it. Who wants to guess? I took this portion and I went to Google and pasted it in. So I found that other people were having the same issue. So, and I think they fixed it in some place, like the source code has it, but it wasn't in main.go. So the way I was able to find it was in the source code, which I thought I had here somewhere. In the source code, there's the docs and the books, and it was there. So if we run it, let's run it. It will not work. I mean, it will not work. So it's set to, in the source code of the book is here. So I would save it and then run it now. And now it's running, but we don't have the validation and mutation webhook enable. So that was the next thing that I think did they say to last time? Did they say to do it? Trying to remember. In config, in default customization.yaml, here is where you drive the different things. So basically that's what it said to do. So it would not do anything at this point. And the other thing that it did is you can deploy it locally and run it locally. So the next thing that they do is to run it locally, to run it in. So that's running just here to validate. This is basically, it's not doing the webhook. So this is like the thing, same thing that we did in the past, like getting the controller working. The webhooks are present, but given that environment variable, you can do things that are like in your controller code that maybe you're not debugging or writing debugging or changing the source code of the webhook. So that was that page. The next one is deploying cert manager. So the reason we need cert manager is because our controller um, has a proxy. They install a proxy. This is the proxy that they add, and that has HTTPS. But the Kube API server needs to talk to us on HTTPS, so we have to give HTTPS a certificate CA. So for that, we're going to use cert manager. So basically, the instructions say, and then the way that you give a Kube API a certificate is putting a section in the mutation webhook configuration and the validation webhook configuration. In there, you would insert a CA, we call it CA bundle, but that's basically the CA cert in there. And cert manager would generate the certificate and also mutate that resource in the cluster. This is not all controllers that you find in the wild do it with cert manager. Some other controllers, what they do is, and I don't know if this, I want to get people's opinion. Some other controllers don't do it through cert manager, like externally, like controlling what is the CA the Kube API is going to trust. Some other controllers, what they do is when they install, their Go code basically goes and finds the mutation or validation webhook. I guess the manifest inside the cluster and Kube API, and generates a self-signed certificate and mutates that certificate. So when you install that controller, you have to give it RBAC, write access to validation and mutation webhooks. And hopefully they did it in a way that only is constrained to theirs. But I've seen controllers that they don't do a good practice of security, and they basically say you can edit any validation mutation webhook. So the controller can be created for good, the controller can be created for bad, but that's something I've seen in the wild. Any opinions on that? Are people following along? I'm on the camp that I prefer somebody external, a separation of concerns of like the controller doing the jobs that it needs to do and not configuring the validation and webhook. And then like an admin configuring the validation and webhook and either getting the CA and configuring the controller or using cert manager versus the controller doing it. So that's at least for me something that I've seen in the wild, and I've seen both in Kubernetes, people doing it both ways. So the next thing is dispatch annotation objects. So if you can see here, this is an annotation that basically we tell cert manager, hey, mutate this mutation webhook. This thing is showing up here. And then insert the CA bundle. And find the validation webhook and insert the CA bundle. So it will have this annotation, and then the CA bundle will be populated. So what we need to do, I think, is on comment. Let me see where it says on comment. Sorry about that. I cannot read this thing. Already said about the kind cluster. We already have one kind cluster. To install cert manager, we can go in here and install cert manager. Where is cert manager? So let's do that. Why is it going to install the cert manager? Oh, it just says follow the documentation to install cert manager. So I'm going to the wrong thing. So this is the default static way to install Cert Manager. I know a lot of people don't install it like this; they just use the Helm chart. But for the KubeBuilder and this project, we'll do it manually. So if we copy this and we install it, we should have Cert Manager installed in a namespace. So if we do, where did they install Cert Manager? Here it is, and there should be pod/a, and Cert Manager is there. And who wants to guess if Cert Manager has implementation and validation webhooks? There's a validation webhook. Oh, this is an interesting one. So, and we have implementation webhook. So there's two there. Question for the people here. Who configures the CA bundle on these two? Because we're installing Cert Manager to configure the CA bundle on our controller that we're building. But then who configures the CA bundle on Cert Manager? Let me check what is in there. Cert Manager -o YAML. There should be a CA bundle here. Here it is. Who puts that thing in there? Does it come with Cert Manager? There's no annotation here that for Cert Manager to insert it there. So I'll leave it for homework. But this is what I was trying to describe. Cert Manager is usually used to put the CA bundle here, but Cert Manager is also another controller. So someone or some process is putting this CA bundle here, and Kube API is trusting it. That is going to call Cert Manager /mutate. But we're not here for Cert Manager, so we're here for our own. So I'll go back to the instructions. Let me see. And I think, let me see. This is a customized patch we use for annotation that we need to uncomment it because it's here, webhook. And here is the customization. And here's the customized configuration of the two. Here's the manifest that is going to create for the webhooks. And then there should be a section for Cert Manager. Let me see where I find it. It should be here somewhere. Here, I think it's this one. No, it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Webhook injection patch. I think it was there a second ago. So this is what it's going to patch. Our mutation webhook, it will have these two annotations. And then it says build in your image, install Cert Manager, and then we're going to build our image. And then we're going to do, since this is the first time they mentioned using kind. So basically it's going to say, build me a container image, and then do kind load Docker image. What this does is it configures in the kind cluster to load the image by reference. So we'll do that. I already did that in the hack. I think I have it in the hack. If not, I'll do it now. Let me see if I have it. No, I don't have it. So let's do it together. So the first one is like the make build. I'll make this one. I don't know why I'm putting this local. Maybe because they did it in the example. So if I run this, I'm going to build the image. It now has webhook capabilities in it. And then I'm going to, oh, here it is, super fast. So if I do Docker images, I have this one that I built, and then I can do a kind load. So I'm going to load the image. So if you run it and you reference this image, cron job local, it would not load. It would not find it. So you have to do a kind load. So that's the trick. So We'll put that here. And then the name of the cluster is kind, but I think you don't even have to pass it, but I'll pass it. Be a good person, put everything there. So I'll put the Docker command here, images. So if people want to follow along, and then I check in the code, so people have access to this. So I'm going to load it. So now I can deploy it, and instead of so this is faster than trying to build it, push it to Docker Hub or a remote registry, and then have kind pull it down like we did in the past. This one is a faster iteration of like you build locally and then tell kind to use it, which I think, trying to think, there was a way that to do this automatically, to reference any image available, but I don't think so. It needs to be loaded. I think it needs to be loaded. That's why it's there. What else do we need to do? So the way KubeBuilder configures the project is they have customized. So that one that I was showing, the config default customization, is where you drive all the things that you want to patch. So in this case, they say uncomment the webhook and cert manager. And this is another bug. They say to uncomment Prometheus. So if you follow the instructions, you will hit this issue. So if we go to default customization, the YAML, and uncomment, like they say, webhook, cert manager, and Prometheus, it will do this one, and then fail here, and then you will see the error. So I just going to do it so people can see it. We have to, the proxy is already there, and then we have to like patch. So this one is for the full webhook, which I was showing, like the webhook, and then this is the patch that it does for the authentication, I think, to enable the webhook on comment encoding 1, the CRD, and then they say to, and then we need the cert manager. This is one I think I was confused. Talking about this one. This one is the one that is going to, we need this in there for both. And then what else? They say to uncomment all the cert manager stuff. So this is the customization. All these we have to uncomment. So this is to enable cert manager to go in, and then it will put the right information in there. So it will create the certificates for the service, the metadata of the service, the field names, everything in there. So let me select it and select it here. So this is replacement. So this is customized. And I think to uncomment all this is, yeah, command / I learned that recently. I think that's it. Let me see what else. So all this will do the customization. And config CRD, because you should look like the following. It's not intended to run itself. It depends on the service name. Why do we need to do this part? I thought we already did that. Let me see. Oh, these are is in the CRD. Why is it showing this in the CRD? CRD customization.yaml. So it's just showing that we have this. Oh, okay, the patches. So we have to, so this is for the CRD. So the CRD will be patch with webhook in cron jobs. Okay, so this is what is doing. This is in telling the CRD of the existence of the webhook. So if you look at where is patches here, webhook, basically is saying that we're not doing the conversion yet, but if you're going to convert for certain versions, the CRD needs to be aware, where do I call, what endpoint do I call to help me with conversions? So that's something this is added to the CRD, so it's done with customize. And then the other one is this one, to enable cert manager, coming out sections, patches here are enabling the CA injection for each CRD. So this one, you see what it does. The next one here is cert manager, save it. And then is CA injection in cron jobs, and in cron jobs is our RCRD. Here it is. So it will have the annotation, so it can add the CA bundle into it. That's interesting. I never seen this before done like this. So basically, it's adding an annotation to the custom resource CRD, and it's going to inject the certificate that is going to be created. And I'm guessing it's because when it calls this webhook, yeah, it makes sense. So the validation webhook has its CA bundle. The mutation webhook has the CA bundle. So now the CRD has a webhook that it needs to call. But if this service is HTTPS, what CA certificate do I use to authenticate? So I'm guessing the CA bundle will be inserted somewhere in the CRD. We can take a look. I think that's it. Any questions so far? I think it'll be better when deployed and then we inspect the YAMLs. What do you think? Oh, somebody was asking questions on chat. I didn't see them.
No, I was commenting that I'm not taking any guesses this week because I got burned last week.
No, that's what makes it, because I don't know the answer. Usually when I ask, I'm like 80% not sure. Yeah. So this one, at least I learned something new today. I knew about validation and mutation webhooks having a CA bundle. Because I haven't dealt a lot with conversion webhooks. Maybe that's new. I knew about CRDs when they came out. Maybe they were always there. But in this case, we only have V1 and V2. V1 because there's another tutorial for V2. So if we want to continue doing KubeBuilder, I mean, people are interested, the next tutorial will be on how do you manage when you upgrade a CRD to V2, right? And then everything needs to be compatible. You should be able to go from V2 to V1 or V1 to V2, and that's through this webhook. You should be able to return back and forth that conversion. So let's deploy our controller using the one that is local. So I name it local to make sure, like, to know that is local. So if I do, and then take a look at this, if I go to the manager, I think you see here, take a look at this, right? When we do the make deploy image equal, the make file, kind of like the make file, or uses customize. I think it's the make file, sorry. So the make file will replace these things, and then customize, we use this controller to generate the deployment that has the image. So now I'm going to use a different value from last time. So this thing should change to controller job local or whatever the tag, but I name it local, so it's the same. And now that I think about it, if we make changes, we should make the deployment pull always. That's interesting. Let me think. It should not be. Oh, we're not pulling. My bad. I was confused. So since we're doing kind load, what's the command? Kind load. Yeah, kind load Docker image. Then there's no pulling. There's no always pulling. It's just like just hammering the same tag with a new child, new content. So you always going to be using the latest image. You just need to recycle the pod. So with that, we need to deploy. So the image will be this guy, right? Image will be this guy. So now, if you want to deploy to your Kubernetes cluster, like EKS or another computer or for your laptop or whatever, use the top section. If it's local, maybe I'll put a comment here. onKind is here, right? And then this one can be used also for kind, but it's for pulling image from registry. Make it clear for people that is watching this. So let's do the make deploy, and then this will deploy. Our control is still not running in the cluster, so we'll deploy it with this. And you saw that this I had a change. So the change, we did that change, so that's good. That's us. This change, that was us. That we did the uncommenting. And then this guy, see what I meant before? It did this one. And actually, I think I screw up. Let me think. It should not be C Santana PR. Why did I screw up? Oh, I named the image like this? I'm an idiot. Okay. Docker images. I think it works, but I'm a semi-idiot. Maybe this is better. I was naming it without the C Santana PR /, but it can be anything. So it didn't change. That's good. They didn't change much. It changed just a new tag. Okay, so I think we're good. If you change this, then this is a file that keeps changing. So just be aware as you push stuff to Git. I'll push it in because we'll continue working locally. And then our changes, I'll push it in. And if you are using my fork, you can enable cert manager for webhooks. I'll push that if people want to get that. And the stuff should be running. Like we deploy. Oh, I think there was an error. Oh, here's the error. I'm bad. I'm all over the place today. I don't know what's going on. Can somebody tell me what this error is? It says error. So everything worked, right? Created my CRDs, it created my deployment, it created a cert manager thing, an issuer, a mutation webhook, validation webhook, and any error on this thing. It says resource mapping not found for name KubeBuilder manager metrics monitor namespace KubeBuilder book system standard in not matches kind service monitor in version monitor CoreOS.com v1. Ensure CRDs are installed first. What is that? So how would you figure what's going on? What is this error? Well, I guess today in 2023 you would just copy this and put it in ChatGPT, right? I think we just tell you. Or I think Alex new problem KX GPT. But yeah, this is a typical error from Kubernetes when you're trying to install a CR that the CRD doesn't exist. This is the canonical error. So once you see one, you can tell that this is the error. So basically, we're trying to install a CR that is from the API version monitoring and the Kani service monitor. So what the hell is that? Sorry, not blaspheming. If you look for that in here, you will find that there's a file with kind service monitor. And if you look at the top, it says Prometheus. Well, the reason that this doesn't work is because Prometheus is not installed in my cluster. If I do, can I get pos-a, I see cert manager, I see core DNS, I see the other kind stuff, and there's no Prometheus. So that's the error. But the reason that this thing is trying to install Prometheus is because the book has an error. If you remember, it told us to go. I know open an issue for this already, so you can fix it. Probably should be sending the PR, but if somebody wants to send the PR and get a contribution point, they can do that. It's very easy. So if you go to default customization at the top, we want to enable the webhook. We want to enable cert manager, but we're not doing metrics yet. And this is a chapter we can do in another day. So if you do that, comment it out, and then you deploy again. Let's deploy again. In here, you should not have errors. no errors, and it's gone. And our stuff is running. So if we do get pods, -A, this is our controller. If we do get validation webhooks, now we see our validation webhook. If we do get mutation webhook, we get our mutation webhook. That. What else it says? Just a warning about the bootstrap problem. Writing controller tests. This section we're not going to do, but let's inspect the webhooks so we can just finish with webhooks. If this is an area like this comes in CKA, maybe it comes in CKS, maybe it comes in both. So if we want to inspect the validation webhook, get validation webhooks, KubeBuilder. Let me see if I can do edit.
The validating and mutating webhooks are in the CKAD exam.
Oh, AD also? Interesting. Cool.
Yep.
It's been a while since I took that one. I don't like, I'm not a Vim person, I have to admit. Now it's in YouTube. Nothing against people like Vim. But I like Cube. What is somebody knows the environment variable? It's a Cube editor. Editor equals
No idea. I'm
code
a Vim person.
-A. Let me check my thing here. So if I do env, I should have it here. Grab cube. There it is. So you want this. I cannot live without this. I don't know about you, but I'm going to add this to the thing. I meant to do it last week, but I didn't do it. So if you do export cube editor, and I know my my friend Matt from Knative, he uses like crazy. He say it's not Vim. What's the other one? Emacs. He loves Emacs. He works all day Emacs. So he sets that his to Emacs. I set mine to that. And then when I do edit, then this thing opens in VS Code with colors. So this is the validation webhook. And then here's the webhook. Is a mission review. Just ignore this portion, but this is the portion that we were talking about. Like the Kube API server is going to talk to the service. So this could be a service, or this could be a URL that is external, like my lambda.com or my website.com, HTTPS. But in this case, it's calling something inside the cluster through cluster API to the service located in, this is the name and namespace. So it would do a service.namespace.svc. So the HTTPS that is responding back with a certificate should have that in its common name, or the v3 DNS SNI in there to validate it, and then it will do a / validate bash tutorial KubeBuilder this path on HTTPS, and it's going to run the code that we added last week. And this piece, so this comes from normal. When the validation webhook YAML got applied, it didn't have this line. It didn't have the CA bundle. So what happens is, since you have Cert Manager installed in the cluster, and Cert Manager has mutation webhooks, it will do a mutation webhook on this thing when it comes in, saying like, it looks like you have an annotation, or it could be a mutation webhook. I guess it's also like reconciling. Like it can edit it. Like if you add the annotation later, it would apply it anyway. But anyway, it's reconciling these things that have an annotation. I'm looking for the annotation. I think, where is the annotation? I think it's removed. Oh, here it is. So the annotation is certmanager.io inject CA from. So please, Mr. Cert Manager, insert in this line, CA bundle, in this thing, the certificate that you can find in this in this thing, I think it's this namespace and this certificate. So I'll grab that. We can take a look at how that looks like, but we also install that. So that's how this thing gets in here. And I don't want to say it's a pain, but it is something that people get trapped in production on how to handle this CA certificate. Because you have to make sure the Kube API server talks to something secure. Also, this service needs to be up all the time, because if the failure policy is fail, you will not get any, like, for the things that you are watching, these things are watching, I guess, in object selector, namespace selector, actually selecting everything on this. Oh, but it's any batch. So if this thing is down, you cannot like create or update any of our CRs if this thing is down. So that will create like a denial service not on the Kube API server. I think I said that last time. It's not true. It's a denial service on yourself, on your own CRs. Like they will stop working because your thing is down, or maybe it's coming up and it's not up yet. And that was the bootstrap problem that we were mentioning. The mutation webhook is the same thing. Yeah, I think that's it. You can set up timeouts. You can tell it like if there's side effects, just to be aware if you're like talking to something external from the cluster and doing a side effect. What else in here? And then the rules is like what things should go through this validation webhook or the mutation webhook. And the mutation webhook is the same thing. K-edit, mutation webhook, KubeBuilder. Here's the mutation webhook. Here's the annotation. So you put this annotation, and then boom, cert manager would inject the certificate here, and it will create an update on that. So who wants to know? Maybe a question. What happens when this certificate expires? This certificate is created for 10 days. My Kube API server cannot talk to this guy. So who's in charge of rotating the certificate? Anyone knows? No takers? People are quiet today.
I think generally that's what cert manager is for, right? Is to manage the certs.
So when you are managing yourself because you want to use VeriSign or something like that, and this thing expires, what do you need to do? You are in charge of a human, or Jenkins pipeline is the one in charge of doing that. And you have to do it in a way that this thing ahead of time, right? That this thing is not expired. So you will need to rotate the CA bundle. People that do that because there are regulations or they don't use their manager or whatever reason, but somebody needs to do that. And then the other thing is, and I think we were mentioning that. So I think Chad is participating today. Eric doesn't want to participate. That's okay. So what about this other one? Not that one, but this one. I think we're running out of time. Maybe this is homework. But here's the cert manager validation webhook that has a CA bundle in here. Who puts that in there?
My guess was trust manager.
There's a trust manager. What is a trust manager?
Trust manager is something in cert manager that handles certificate rotation.
Yeah, so that's the short answer, cert manager, because it has what on the top, the CA, the cert manager annotation. So it's configuring. Cert manager, when installed, it configures itself to rotate the thing, right? But it's the controller. Like trust manager is one of the controllers. Cert manager, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the underlying component. Yep.
Okay, but yeah, it's configuring itself Like that's the thing that was said at the beginning. Like you install Cert Manager to configure your C certificates for your controllers, but then Cert Manager configure itself to manage its own certificates. So check, got it correct. And I guess Cert Manager has options on, like, it's using default thing. So if you do kgets, what is cert, what CRDs we have? CRDs. Oh, let's take a look at 1 minute more. Let's do kedit CRD cron job. This is the last one we were going to watch. So this one has, again, another annotation that says Cert Manager, insert a certificate here. And why do we need to insert a certificate in a CRD, which I learned today, is because there's a webhook configuration here that you're going to call when you need to convert from V1 to V2, or from alpha V1 to beta V1 to V1 to V2, or from V2 to alpha 1. And that needs to go, if we, Kubernetes API knows maybe a little bit to convert because it now have the schema, but the full responsibility of that conversion, of converting from one version to another one version, is your controller. So it'll be calling your controller to do this service. And again, it has a CA bundle that it can authenticate with HTTPS. And the rest is the schema that we saw last time of the normal CRD stuff. So there's no more about webhooks. Usually this is at the end. People put it at the end, but it looks like KubeBuilder maybe. Oh, no, this is, it's at the end. Actually, when you have the YAML, it's at the end, but this is, I'm doing a real kube edit on the etcd, so it's returning it at the top. So yeah, ignore that. Usually I find this here. And I think that's webhooks. Maybe next time we'll do testing. I'm not sure if we want to do testing, or we can skip to the next session. What is after testing? Advanced examples. Epilogue. Oh, multi-version tutorial. So we can do multi-version tutorial, or we can do metrics. We can pick one of the two. It's a multi-version is a different tutorial, but maybe we can do multi-version. It should be short, and then it will continue from this, what I was explaining, the conversion. But we should cover in one session. We should not cover. Let's cover that in one session. Next section. Any questions, feedback? What did you thought about today's section? Not a lot. We didn't cover a lot, but if you were not familiar with validation webhooks, Cert Manager, CA bundles, KubeBuilder, how to configure it, how to work around the two issues that we found, how to do the kube kind load, so you don't have to put your image anywhere. Just like you make a change to the source code, just to make the image, like run the 3 commands I mentioned in the hack file. You make a change to the Go code, then do a make Docker build, and then kind load and make deploy, or just like if the only thing you change is the image and not configuration, you can just kill the pod and you get a new pod with the new code, or just deploy to be sure. It should not take that long. So run these 3 commands. Let me remove this one to not people get confused. And you keep doing that over and over and over, and that's how you build your own controller. So I think we cover how to build the controller, like end to end, at least for this part. The next one will be multi-versions, but you may not get to that until you do a change in the API. And the other one is, which I think is useful, is monitoring, like getting Prometheus metrics of like your work queue and other ones. Application metrics of the controller, not CPU and memory. Nobody is interested into that, but application metrics of the controller. Okay, folks. Well, thank you for joining. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope that you learned something today, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, I learned that I need to go bone up on Cert Manager because I completely.
It's used everywhere, man. I'm
I know
telling you,
it is
everywhere. So I'm in my Argo CD GitOps Bridge project. Yep, that's the example that I use as a hello world,
Hey,
because everybody has that add-on.
quick question. So I'm trying to remember back to week 1 on this. Things like the make file that is doing all of this, is that generated by KubeBuilder when you init your stuff?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
feels like there's a lot of abstraction that I feel like there's a lot of magic happening. And I don't know if that's a feature of KubeBuilder or if that's when you're learning it, if that's a detriment. Because I'm one of the I like to dig into the make file and try to figure out what exactly is going on under here, because I don't like magic.
I've been doing that. I think I talk a little bit. We can cover that in the next section also. I think I cover a little. I think I covered that. It's in the notes. Read the references of what this means. The magic actually is this, not KubeBuilder, but the magic is controller gen.
Okay.
And controller gen, reading those annotations. I say annotation. I go back to Java. Annotation / plus. Is it? That's the magic bit, because other people write controllers. They don't use KubeBuilder, but controller gen is the one that is doing the magic of, like, from the Go source code. What is that stuff that goes into the YAML? KubeBuilder just like scaffolds you like the thing already. It has the annotations. It has a make file, and that's it. I think that's it. And it has a good this customized layout of like how do they come together. But other people just have the YAMLs in like all static, and they don't change them because it's not a framework, right? It's just like, this is the YAML that I always deploy. I'm not changing them. But if you make a change in Go through controller gen is the one that is going to tweak your manifest files. That's the trick. So if you look at other people's Go controller, where is it? PKG here. You will not see KubeBuilder. You will not see / plus KubeBuilder. You will see / something else, like something else. But you will see generator. Like, you will not see this. Right? You will see all the way that they want to manipulate the YAML from Go. That's where the real magic is happening. But KubeBuilder scaffold you that. It gives you like a hello world Go code that works, and it already has sprinkle over all these annotations everywhere. So it's a good starting point, right, for somebody that doesn't want to like do everything from scratch. But if this is your daily work, then you will know, like, I can get started with KubeBuilder, then we move it, then do our own, or pick up a project that was developed outside KubeBuilder and pick up from there, because of controller gen, which I think is the only magic bit in the make file.
Yeah.
Everything is customized. You're familiar with customize.
Yeah.
Docker build. And that's it. It's not, and running Go is running Go. Go run, go build. So yeah, I would say that's the magic bit. So I guess we cover in the last 5 minutes.
Cool.
Okay. Well, see you next week. I think I'll be here next week. Yeah, I'll be here, and then we'll be in Washington for KCD for the Kubernetes mini day.
Thanks, Carlos. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Small crowd, but
thanks. Have a nice weekend.
no problem. Thank you, Tony.